Hi, I'm Jack Canfield, author of The Success Principles and co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And I'm here today at the Author's Success Retreat that I do with Steve Harrison. And I want to introduce you to one of our attendees, Deborah Sadler. Now, in addition to being a licensed religious science practitioner, a teacher, an astrologer, a metaphysician, and student of Cryon, Deborah is a cutting-edge leader in restorative justice that was championed first by her students in an urban high school. And in her book trilogy, Words of the Temple, she weaves together social justice and esoterics to explain events that occurred during the pandemic of 2020 to 2022. So Deborah, let's talk about what is one of the things you teach that you would find is most helpful to people?
Well, I think the main topic of the book is that we are born magnificent, that each one of us is a precious being, and that there is a paradigm shift that is taking place in our planet right now. And we are going from a 26,000 year cycle of the sun through all the 12 signs of the zodiac, and it's coming back to its beginning point. And we're shifting from the shadow side of the rotation to the light side. So we are making a huge change in human consciousness. And the cutoff line of this was 2012, which was the end of the Mayan calendar. So the ancients knew about this astronomical cycle, and they understood that we would be going from separation consciousness to unity consciousness. And that is exactly what is taking place in our time right now. We're going through a transition from thousands of years of war, and we are actually moving into a long period of peace on Earth. So this is an astronomical event that was known by the ancients. It impacts us greatly because we are embracing the magnificence of each one of us, and so it results in us treating each other differently. If I recognize the magnificence in you, Jack, and I recognize it in me, I'm going to treat you very differently than we've been treating one another on this planet. And I think that's one of the founding principles of restorative practices, is to create situations where we really understand to walk in another person's shoes. It also creates a very positive message, because the reality is we are moving through the stars. We are moving through the galaxy. And this is a known event called the precession of the equinoxes. And we are guaranteed that we are moving into the light. We're moving into a time of compassion. We're moving into a time of peace on Earth. And in fact, we are actually an ascending planet, and humanity is ascending to a higher level of consciousness where we just recognize how wonderful each one of us is, and we treat each other accordingly. And therefore, we live in peace, harmony, and prosperity.
I think to help people understand this, what was helpful to me in understanding this precession of the equinoxes thing is thinking about driving through neighborhoods in a city. And if you're driving through an impoverished area where there's a lot of gang activity, you feel different than if you're driving through an area where it's peaceful and there's a lot of people that are loving and they're out walking their dogs and everything. And literally we're being affected by those energies as our planet moves through the galaxies and all this stuff. And I think it's important that people really understand that. I don't think we've been taught that in very many places, and your book goes deeply into that. I wonder if you could mention one more thing. I want people to get a sense of the application of this. You talk in the book about punishment and how people have thought that one of the ways we discipline people, whether it's children and, suspending them from school or giving them timeouts, or, prisoners, putting them in prison, versus doing something with them as rather than to them. Can you just talk about that for a second?
Well, one of the things that we do in restorative justice is we ask people to repair the harm. And so they will be in a situation where they have harmed someone, and they will be asked to listen to that individual and how that harm affected them. And then the offender is asked to come up with ways that they could repair the harm. And this actually restores, so it's really offender accountability, but it restores community safety, because the offender, when they go to repair the harm is being punished, they change. Repairing the harm is transformational for people, whereas being punished is just being punished and creates even more problems for that individual. And it is documented that just one school suspension puts a child on the school to prison pipeline. And so we have found different ways of using restorative justice in the classroom to calm things down, to resolve conflict, and to teach students strategies that they actually take home and teach to their families to create more peace at home, better forms of communication at home. So it's very practical.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about it. There's a lot of examples of practical things that we can do to participate in this transformation that's occurring rather than just being ignorant of it or being run over by some of the old that's on its way out, not stepping in consciously to the emerging future. So thank you for writing these books and for sharing so many aspects of wisdom and, as I said, practical, actionable insights that we can use in our lives to create more peace, more joy, more love, more unity. And I'm happy you wrote them, and I encourage everyone to read them.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, thanks for joining me, Deborah. And for all of you who are watching, here's where you can go to get more information about Deborah, her work, and her books.